Ibrahim Traoré received a call from his foreign advisor, Dr. Alonso Hidrego, on a sunny morning in Ouagadougou in May 2025. Mr. President, we have received an intriguing invitation from the United States. The White House wants you to attend a symposium on global education. With as he was reviewing the nation's education reports, Ibrahim paused to ask Karoline Leavitt, the new press secretary, about the format. He was curious about the purpose of the invitation to a live forum broadcast that was moderated by CNN Worldwide and was aware of Karoline's reputation as a young, aggressive politician who frequently makes provocative remarks about foreign leaders. Dr. Hidrego clarified that the issue is changing educational systems in the 21st century, and it seems that they wish to compare and contrast African and American methods. At 35, Ibrahim grinned a little because he had transformed the Burkina Faso educational system in a way that impressed foreign organizations. He can now show the world what Africa has to offer in education in Washington, D.C. Karoline's claim that wealthier nations like the U.S. should lead global education reform. In response, Ibrahim offered a polite smile and said, "I admire America's achievements in education, but creativity isn't limited by geography. Sometimes, the best ideas come from the least expected places." Karoline interrupted with biting sarcasm. "With all due respect, President Traoré, how can you lecture a country that produced Harvard, MIT, and Stanford, when just a few years ago, half your population was illiterate?" Ibrahim remained calm. "Exactly because we've faced bigger challenges, we've developed more creative solutions. When you don't have endless resources, you're forced to think smarter, not just richer." Karoline smirked. "Where did you study? I assume some American institution?" "No," she added mockingly, "you sound more like you learned from guerrilla propaganda." Anderson tried to calm things. "Ms. Leavitt, that was uncalled for." "Maybe," Karoline replied. "But it's also true. African education isn't the same as American education." That remark crossed a line. It was insulting and discriminatory. Ibrahim took a moment before answering, "Thank you, Ms. Leavitt, for that perfect demonstration. I now fully understand the kind of education you advocate for." Traoré adjusted his posture and faced the camera with calm confidence. "Since you brought up my educational background, let me share what you conveniently left out." As he spoke, certificates and diplomas began flashing on the screen. "I hold a first-class bachelor's degree in civil engineering from Kwame Nkrumah University in Ghana, a master's in public administration from the Sorbonne in Paris with a full academic scholarship, and an MBA from the London School of Economics. I also speak fluent French, Portuguese, Arabic, English, and 4 African regional languages." He paused and asked, "How many languages are you fluent in, Ms. Leavitt?" She stammered, "That's not the point. Education matters." "Indeed," Ibrahim agreed, "so let's talk about what you brought up. American universities like Harvard and MIT are currently researching our methods. Official documents were shown on screen. Harvard Business School is studying our engineering education techniques." "Why?" "Because we turned a 29% literacy rate into an African STEM leader in just 3 years, something no U.S. state has achieved." "These numbers are exaggerated," Karoline insisted. "They're confirmed by Stanford, UNESCO, the World Bank, and surprisingly, your own U.S. Department of Education," Ibrahim replied. Cooper leaned forward, intrigued. "President Traoré, what exactly are these strategies?" Ibrahim smiled. "Ms. Leavitt, since you admire American institutions so much, you might be interested to know that I'm a visiting professor at Columbia, UC Berkeley, and Georgetown." He continued, "The first lesson we teach is to respect knowledge, no matter where it comes from." Karoline rolled her eyes. "That's idealistic. I teach sustainable development, innovative governance, and youth leadership at 3 American universities. Want the dean's numbers to verify?" Ibrahim added. Cooper was clearly impressed. "Our students outperform American students in global science, math, and coding contests. They've created apps that U.S. tech companies have purchased for millions. And yet, you still live in a poor country," Karoline said bitterly. "Our college graduation rate is 94%. What's yours?" Ibrahim responded with a light laugh. Karoline fell silent, knowing the US rate was lower. Our teens have won 47 international academic medals. Our 16-year-olds are writing code that companies abroad pay for. 73% of our students graduate from college. Do yours? Ibrahim concluded, more importantly, we teach our youth that intelligence has no nationality, color, or wealth requirement. The studio fell into stunned silence, trying to recover. Karoline said, I wasn't doubting African intelligence, just asking about qualifications. But your tone revealed your assumptions, Ibrahim replied gently. You judged based on stereotypes. Anderson Cooper turned to Ibrahim. President Traoré, you clearly came prepared. I didn't need to. This is our daily work, he replied. The US spends billions on education. But its global ranking has declined, especially in math and science. You're misrepresenting facts, Karoline snapped. I'm quoting the US Department of Education. Burkina Faso has risen 47 places in global rankings. The US has dropped 12. Why? He asked rhetorically. Because our teachers are paid fairly and focus on teaching, not working multiple jobs to survive. Anderson turned to Karoline. How do you respond to that? After a long pause, she muttered, we'd need to analyze the data further. Ibrahim nodded. Yes. Careful analysis before judgment is always wise. Then Anderson asked, what advice would you give struggling educational systems? Ibrahim replied, never underestimate innovation born from necessity. We trained teachers using smartphones when we had no computers. We built labs with recycled material when we couldn't afford new equipment. Of course, resources help, he said, but without vision, they're wasted. If I must choose between money and vision, I choose vision. Karoline interrupted, but reputation matters. Harvard is respected because of its tradition. Wrong, Ibrahim responded. It's respected because of results. If a small village school in Burkina Faso produces better engineers, it deserves recognition. Tradition protects the past. Innovation shapes the future. We teach our kids to question everything, even us. That's how breakthroughs happen. Millions watching around the world were stunned by the contrast between Ibrahim's brilliance and Karoline's defensiveness. Last month, Ibrahim said, I was invited to speak at a US President's Education Summit. Do you know who invited me? He asked Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona. I can show you his email. Karoline looked shaken. He praised our rural STEM success and fast-track literacy model. MIT, Harvard, and Stanford have all requested site visits to study our systems. Official letters appeared on the screen. Karoline tried again, but that doesn't make you better. I never said we were, Ibrahim answered kindly. We're all different. And in education, greatness can come from anywhere. Anderson nodded in admiration. No 21st century country can afford to ignore knowledge, regardless of where it comes from. Karoline finally went quiet. Then she softly said, You're right. I owe you, and your country, an apology. That moment surprised even Ibrahim. I walked into this discussion thinking American education was superior by default. I was wrong. Anderson asked, What changed your mind? Karoline Ajara asked, I proved something important, that intelligent people can acknowledge mistakes and grow, which is more valuable than never making mistakes. In the dedication, Karoline wrote, Your response not only defended your country, but it educated the world. A year later, Karoline published Lessons from Burkina Faso. How Humility Transformed Me Educational Vision, which went on to become an international bestseller. Ibrahim Traoré taught me that true education starts with acknowledging what we don't know.